Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Hopefully, everybody's had a good weekend. Hopefully, you had the chance to check out what we were reading last night in Price Comics. Um, so, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the screen. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. We're just going to give it a couple minutes here to give people a chance to show up. So, anyways, as I said, hopefully everybody's had a good weekend. Let's see. Yes, I'm through now. Now I'm through. In terms of my cartoon watching, I'm up through November of 1937. So we're getting, of course, getting through there as much as we can, as quickly as we can. Of course, by November of 1937, uh, let's see, Fleischer Studios and um, and Walt Disney Studios were producing the most cartoons at four series each. Fleischer was, of course, doing Popeye, Betty Boop, Screen Songs, and Color Classics, while 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 I'm trying to think here. Um, while Walt Disney was doing Silly Symphonies, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Pluto. So, anyways, let's see. Okay, so now we're coming up on 3 minutes here, so I guess I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So, on tap for tonight, as it were, got a couple of articles from Bleeding Full. Actually, let me take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and put some music on for you guys while All right, I'm back. So as we, of course, still wait for people to show up. So now, okay. So basically, we got a couple articles, as I said, we're gonna do from. So first, got Stanley Artgerm Lau stands firm against AI created art as Marvel embraces AI. There's the first article we're gonna do. And then Cosmic Classic returns. Nexus Deluxe hardcover omnibus launches on Kickstarter. Of course, that's a Mike Barron project. So aside from those two, of course, we'll also have the wrestling wrap up, get all caught up on all the latest and wrestling news, including a couple of releases that happened over the weekend in the WWE. But we'll also look back at Friday Night SmackDown, Saturday's Collision, and then we'll also be and then we'll eventually get to this day in each history to wrap things up. So, with all that being said, again, a friendly reminder to everybody: if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. It'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so here's the first article we're going to go over. All right, so Stanley Art Germ Lau stands firm against AI created art as Marvel embraces AI. Article by Avi Green, published June 2nd, 2025. So published earlier today. So this is one of our there's Avi, our old buddy here. So let's see what he has to say about all this. Popverse says the artist Stanley Lau, also known as Art Germ, known almost entirely just for cover scan art, made clear at London's MCM Comicdom panel, he's standing tight by human art as a legitimate approach to production. Cover scan art sounds like, yeah. Okay. Quote, and this is from the article that he's so quote. I think it is very important to understand that art is an exclusively human endeavor. Unquote. Art Germ explains at his MCM Comic Con 2025 panel, quote, that's how we record our journey and our experience. There's nothing that AI can do. It's not just because of how high quality it is. I can tell any of you who collect my covers, do you want to buy an AI cover, or do you want a cover that is by Art Germ? It is obvious, right? Because we go through so many obstacles to get where we are. That's why the artwork has value. And the thing about artwork, too, about art in of itself, it's more of an expression. Yeah, AI can draw. AI can do the drawings, can do the technical aspects of it, but without the quote unquote heart soul of it, you would think that it would lose something. I mean, anyone or anything could do technical drawings. But anyways, he closed with a message of resistance for any who were worried about AI becoming the norm in art. Quote, I hope that you don't give up, never give in. Myself, I will never give in to AI. I will die on the hill of human art. Unquote. Now, here's Avi's response to what Art Germ just said. I appreciate this position itself, but if there's a drawback to how Lau runs his business, it's that there's times when his art has gone on the covers of certain stories that are repellent and completely not worth buying if the cover comes with a badly written issue story. So basically, again, this is going back to Avi's overall issues with mainstream comics as a whole. But he may have even illustrated a cover for a Marvel story featuring the Muslim Ms. Marvel, and the problem there is that he's granting validity to a series that was used to propagate for the religion of peace in a way, that's what makes his willingness to associate with such products so appalling. If the Islamic component were removed from that, it wouldn't be as bad. But since the whole Kamala Khan quote unquote franchise is still reliant on said component. That's why it's a problem, and therefore a shame allows drawing anything for it. Since the subject of AI comes up, superhero hype lets us know that Marvel is changing Captain America's costume to something based on AI. And if it matters, this may be the Falcon. They're actually talking about who's getting an outfit generated by said technology. And now referencing the article he's referencing here, or going to the article he's referencing. Let's see. Whenever a superhero alters their costume, it usually upsets someone. Many comic fans are traditionalists and resist any change to a classic look. However logical it might be. However, the new supersuit adopted by Captain America in Avengers number 26 seems likely to spark controversy for reasons beyond simple change. Dubbing itself Suit, quote unquote, this new AI reshaped itself to become a new armored costume for Captain America. Almost sounds a little bit like this anime that was out a few years ago. I can't remember what it is now. But anyways, its shape-changing powers enable it to replicate the flight powers Sam Wilson's damaged uniform. It also acted as a living cast, enabling him to fly and to use his shield despite a broken arm. While a temporary measure, Captain America's use of suit seems likely to annoy readers for many reasons. The chief one is that it seems like a general endorsement of artificial intelligence, which is a hot button issue in the real world. It is particularly true in the world of comics, where many artists and writers have had their work used without permission to quote unquote teach AI writing and art programs. This in turn has led to pushback against publishers using such technology in their publication. So yeah, I can see that being an issue. Basically you're using the very technology that you're using somebody's work to push a technology that's you're looking to eventually push the people out of their jobs. I mean, I think anybody could understand that aspect of it. Anyway, going back to Avi's response to what we just read. Very interesting. Hold on. I need to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back, but I will put on some music to entertain you guys while I'm going here. So I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get back to the article here. So this is what Avi had to say in response to what we just read. Very interesting. Though not something I would recommend buying years after Marvel's effectiveness collapsed. courtesy of Quesada, James Alonso's meddlings. This can suggest there's contempt behind the scenes at Marvel for artists opposed to AI employment at their expense. Well, that's pretty logical, I would say. And maybe one more reason why the publisher would be better off closing down, because this has long become very unfunny. AI has certainly become a divisive issue in the modern age, but the quality of writing and even artwork by some Liefeld-like clones during the past decade shouldn't be overlooked even now. Some could easily argue the whole AI issue is being used as a distraction from merit-based production, and that's why we can't let it obscure challenging topics that are still problematic even today. All right, so there we go with that one, that article. Friendly reminder, of course, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, moving on to the next story here. At the 17-minute mark here. All right, Cosmic Classic returns. Nexus Deluxe Hardcover Omnibus launches on Kickstarter. Article by Jameson Ashley, published June 2nd, 2025, which of course is today. So, sci-fi indie comics landmark series Nexus is making major comeback. Big Comics announced the Nexus Deluxe Hardcover Omnibus Volume 1 with a Kickstarter campaign that launched today. The campaign currently features a few exclusive 24-hour discounts and deals for day one backers. Co-created by Mike Baron and Steve Rude, Nexus quickly became a cult phenomenon in comics, with Newsarama hailing the series as, quote, the greatest superhero comic of all time, unquote. The story follows Nexus, also known as Horatio Hellpop, a cosmic avenger wrestling with justice, morality, and the weight of his cosmic powers. Harlan Ellison, a writer famous for his work on Star Trek, Twilight Zone, and Outer Limits, repeatedly praised the series, saying it, quote, glows with originality, unquote, and displays, quote, enormous intelligence and inventiveness on each page, unquote. This new deluxe hardcover omnibus, planned as the first in a 4-volume set, collects the earliest adventures at Nexus in an oversized, remastered format in partnership with the same printer that handles Marvel and DC Omnibus lines. The first volume is scheduled to ship at the end of 2025, just in time to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the series. So I'm guessing 1980, I guess. Which first debuted in 1981. Okay. Baron and Rude's work on Nexus earned them multiple Eisner Awards and launched their storied careers. The critically acclaimed series is renowned for its blend of cosmic action, philosophical depth, and artist Steve Rude's striking Kirby-inspired art. The Kickstarter campaign will offer collector-focused rewards, never-before-seen artwork, exclusive digital rewards, and signed editions. Many available only during the first 24 hours. Um, Fans of Nexus are are encouraged to check out the campaign on Kickstarter for more information. Let me go ahead and put that into the Nexus Deluxe hardcover omnibus. What's the name of the? So, in the event that you guys want to, of course, go check that out. Here's the link to that. You guys want to go check that out? And there you go, right there. If you guys want to go check that out, there's the link to it. That way, you can see for yourself if you want to do that. All right, so there we go with that. See, we're at. So let's see if I can go find another. All right, so let me see. I'm going to go ahead and go see if I can find any more interesting articles to go over here. We continue on here. These two went kind of quickly. Hmm. I'm just right now, just of course, looking at. Just trying to see if there's any other stories that we can probably look at here. All right, so let's see now. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, here sounds like something of interest here. I just found something interest here. Again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the screen so we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let's get into this next article. This article here from MeTV Tunes. June Foray created the Annie Awards to honor Max Fleischer. Max Fleischer, of course, the head of Fleischer, along with his brother Dave, the heads of Fleischer Studios. They gave us, of course, Screen Songs, Color Classics, Betty Boop, Popeye, Superman. So, how one of the greatest voice actresses created an award show. Article published today by MeTV Tunes staff. So, of course, on the right there is June Foray in her younger days. On the left is Max Fleischer. In 1972, the animation industry was a cornerstone of Hollywood, but it did not have its own award ceremony. At the time, most of the major award shows had animation categories for short films, feature-length films, and children's television, but the animation genre is far more than just a category, but a whole industry in and of itself. June Foray, the Meryl Streep of voice acting. Of course, June Foray known for doing like Granny, Granny and Looney Tunes. Let's see. I think she also did. I think she was Mother Nature and Smurfs for Hanna-Barbera. So, among others, of course, felt that it was high time that the people who worked in cartoons got their own award show, which inspired her. What inspired her? The death of her friend and colleague, Max Fleischer. Foray recalled, quote, everyone else has awards, but animation doesn't. Max Fleischer had just died, and of course, he was such a founder of animation, creating Betty Boop and Olive Oyl, both voiced by the late great Mae Quetzal, and Popeye, and so forth. Popeye voiced by the late great Jack Mercer, and he invented rotoscoping, and so I thought it was a splendid idea to honor him and Dave Fleischer, unquote. Freshly inspired, she went to the president of ASIFA Hollywood, a branch of the International Animated Film Association, and asked for permission to organize an award ceremony by cartoon people for cartoon people. Once permission was granted, Foray found the location and a host, but the award ceremony still needed a name. Quote, my husband said, unquote, Foray recalled, quote, as long as it's an animation award, Why not call it an Annie? So you have an Annie for animation, you have Oscars, you have Tonys, you have, yeah, why not call it an Annie? And considering that it is a woman who helped start the show, I could see, thus the Annies were born. But as things fell into place, Foray became anxious. What if no one showed up? Then suddenly over 400 RSVPs came in, and what started as a tribute to a friend had now grown into a big industry event. The first Annie Awards were covered on television and quickly became the go-to animation event of the year. The second Annie Awards honoree was Walter Lantz, creator of Woody Woodpecker, and was the first to be given a real trophy. Walter Lantz, of course, aside from Woody Woodpecker, he also created, of course, Andy Panda, Chilly Willy, Buzz Buzzard, the Berry Family, Hickory Dickory and Doc, George and Martha. The Annie Awards trophy is a brass model of a zoetrope, one of the earliest animation devices. Committed to the bit, Foray made sure that the award rotated like a real zoetrope, which led to a humorous blunder. Quote, I think Walter dropped his. The top came off and it broke, unquote, Foray recalled. Quote, a lot of people weren't aware, and we should have warned them that the rotating part of the zoetrope was removable. So they carried it off stage and wham! To this day, the Annies are a yearly event, the 53rd Annie Awards scheduled for February 21st, 2026. Since its founding, the Annie Awards have given out prizes for 37 categories, including the Winsor McKay Award for lifetime contributions to the art of animation, the Dubai Works Award for technical advancements to animation, and the June Foray Award for those who have made significant and benevolent or charitable impact on the animation industry. Watch Cartoon All-Stars on MeTV Tunes, weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 Pacific, and Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. Alrighty then, so there we go with that one. Let's see where we're at on time now. 33 minutes, coming on 34 minutes, so I'm going to see if I can try to find one more story to do. See if I can try to find one more story to do before we get to the latter portion of the show here. Okay, nothing really changed there. La 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 la. All right. Yeah, all right. So I guess that's all we got for the stories tonight. I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. But I will put some music on to keep you guys entertained while I'm gone. Right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, so now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up. So we're gonna, of course, look back to last Friday Night SmackDown, as well as AEW's Collision. We'll also look ahead to tonight's Monday Night Raw, but also we do have a couple other interesting little. Well, we have a couple of interesting little news pieces from the wrestling side of it, um, as both R Truth, Ron Killings, and Carly Colon Jr. have both been released from the WWE. Um, they were released over the weekend. It was initially when R Truth made his post about it June on June 1st yesterday. It was initially people initially thought it was a joke because R Truth is considered to be one of the most well liked individuals in the WWE locker room, which had a number of talent pretty upset about it. kind of surprised, because especially considering he was just in a program with John Cena just before he left. But but it was confirmed through some other news sources, through Frightful and all that, that he was indeed released. Also, Carlito was also released over the weekend. Now it's believed, even though both of these guys have been involved in some major storylines, been on TV of late. What it apparently is coming down to is budget issues. They were both told that their contracts were not going to be renewed, and this is also for Carlito, coming off of the fact that he just had over the weekend here won the World Wrestling Council's Puerto Rico Championship down in Puerto Rico, going down to defeat Ray Gonzalez for that title. So in the aftermath, of course, I would imagine that in Carlito's case, he's going to probably go down, wrestle for World Wrestling Council for a while at least. That's where it was before he came back to the WWE a couple of years ago. Now, albeit it was officially reported that it was that they were let go because of budgetary reasons, budget cut. There's some kind of discrepancy between who actually made the call. Was it TKO that made the call, or was it Triple H? There are a lot of fans who are kind of going after Triple H for it, because he was the one who probably ultimately had to make the decision, apparently, on who specifically to go. But there's also some talk that maybe one of the other contributing factors to this was their respective ages. Ron Killen, I think, is 50 or getting into his 50s, while Carlito's 46. So they're kind of getting older. So with wanting, obviously, to emphasize more younger talent, have, rather than these guys, some people might say it may make a certain amount of sense for them to be let go. There's of course now a story going out there that possibly Ron Killings may end up showing up in TNA, may get signed by TNA. Now, Ron Killings, back in the early to mid 2000s, of course, did have quite a successful career in TNA, having won the NWA World Heavyweight title a couple of times, as well as being a 2-time NWA World Tag title holder during his time there, during the time in which NWA had a working agreement with TNA, and they were showcasing the title on Total Nonstop Action. So let's wait and see. Now, while he doesn't have the rights to the R-Truth name, he does have the rights to Ron the Truth Killings, as based on his real name partly, but also, and to his theme song, because of the fact he was the one who actually created the theme song. So he has those rights. So that'll be something to wait and see what happens as that all goes down. We'll wait to see where, obviously these guys will probably get some independent work in there. Carlito, of course, considering that the World Wrestling Council is pretty much run by his family. His father, was the one who was one of the co-founders of World Wrestling Council, along with Victor Hovica and Gorilla Monsoon. And now, of course, his family, family still runs it, So we'll wait and see with that. R-Truth, you might find them on the independent scene. I don't know what their contract status is. If they'll more likely have, actually, since it's a case of their contract not being renewed, it's not that they're being let go, they're just not being renewed. So they may be able to even go right into something, because contract, they're just, once their contract expires, that's it, So we might be seeing them sooner than later. Now some other news too. Elena Black, formerly known as Cora Jade in the WWE, as well as Gigi Dolan, I think one other, will their 30-day or 90-day no complete clause has come to an end and will be taking bookings pretty soon as well. So so that's all come down a pipe, as it were. So now with that, let's talk about what happened. Of course, what happened on Friday Night SmackDown. Let's look at what happened over the weekend here. So from Friday Night SmackDown, the opening match saw in a triple threat qualifying match for the women's Money in the Bank. Naomi defeated Jade Cargill and Nia Jax to advance to the Money in the Bank, which will be happening this weekend, this Saturday. Which will JC Mateo with Solo Sikoa, his corner, defeated R-Truth in what was probably R-Truth's last match with the WWE on this past Friday Night SmackDown. Los Garzas, Angel and Berto, with Santos Escobar in their corner, defeated Javon Evans and Ray Phoenix. Javon Evans making a SmackDown debut coming up from NXT. In a non-title match, United States Women's Champion Zelina Vega defeated Alba Fire of the Secret Herverse of Chelsea Green and all that. And then in the main event, saw Andrade. It's on in a non-title triple threat qualifying match for the Money in the Bank match as United States Champion Jacob Fatu and Carmelo Hayes lost to Andrade. Andrade advanced to the Money in the Bank finals. That happened on Friday. And with that, give me a moment. All right. So with that, now now that we looked at Friday night's SmackDown, let's take a quick peek at tonight's Raw. Tonight's Monday Night Raw will be taking place from Tulsa, Oklahoma. You'll have what I believe will be one of the last two women's qualifying matches. Triple threat match. Stephanie Vaquer, who was just called up to Raw from NXT, will be taking on Liv Morgan and Ivy Nile in a triple threat qualifying match for Money in the Bank. And in the men's qualifying match for Money in the Bank, have CM Punk taking on AJ Styles for El Grande Americano. Now, I might as well just go over might as well just talk about what will be happening on this weekend's events, because WWE will be holding its Money in the Bank event from Inglewood, California, and also they'll be co-hosting an event called Worlds Collide with AAA. So at Money in the Bank thus far, the two, of course, Money in the Bank matches, the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches. The men's already qualified for the men's Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Andrade, Penta, and Solo Sikoa, with one more to be added. Guessing on this Friday night. All right, I just kind of spoiled it. And then for the women's qualifying, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Julia, and Roxanne Perez have all qualified. Also set for Money in the Bank, of course, Lyra Valkyria will be defending the women's Intercontinental title against Becky Lynch. And in the main event, we'll see John Cena and Logan Paul teaming up, undisputed champion John Cena and Logan Paul teaming up to take on world champion Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. So that's all that we have for the WWE news. Now let's take a look at AEW news. Let's go back to look back to Saturday's. Let's look back at Saturday's. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot that. We also had the Worlds Collide pay-per-view to go over here. The World. So in the World Collide pay-per-view, the match is set to open up with a six-man or trios match, as they call them down in Mexico, six-man tag match, as the LWO members of Dragon Lee, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde will be taking on Aerostar, Mr. Iguana, and Octagon Jr. Octagon Jr., of course, one half of the Aztec Warriors in TNA. In a women's tag team match, Chick Tormenta and Dalise will be taking on Lola Vice and Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer, of course, currently on the main roster. Lola Vice, part of the NXT roster. In a fatal four-way match for the NXT North American Championship, Ethan Page will be defending against AAA's World Cruiserweight Champion Laredo Kid, Ray Phoenix, and Javon Evans. In another six-man or trios match, they call it the Legado del Fantasma of Angel Berto and Santos Escobar will be taking on the trio of El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. The main event will see El Hijo del Vikingo, who just recently won the AAA Mega title from Alberto del El Patron, better known to most fans as Alberto del Rio WWE fame, taking on Chad Gable, defending the Mega title against Chad Gable. So now with that being said, now let's go back and take a look at this past Saturday's Collision on AEW's Collision. Which took place in the El Paso County Coliseum in El Paso, Texas, with Nigel McGuinness and Tony Schiavone on commentary. The opening match saw a qualifying match for this Wednesday's four-way match for the AEW International title. Claudio Castagnoli defeated former Ring of Honor World Television Champion Commander. A six-man tag match, the Don Callis family members of Never Openweight Champion Konosuke Takeshita teaming with RPG Vice of Trent Barreto and Rocky Romero. Dennis Archer in the corner defeating the Paragon duo of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, teaming with New Japan Strong Openweight Champion Tomohiro Ishii. Kazuchika Okada, an eliminator match for the Continental title, defeated Anthony Bowens, in which if Anthony Bowens had won the match, he would have earned a shot at the Continental title at some point down the road. Mina Shirakawa, coming off of her loss to Toni Storm at Double or Nothing, defeated Sky Blue in a one-on-one match, in which ended up getting attacked by Sky Blue and Julia Hart, only for Toni Storm to come out and save her. Gates of Agony in 2 minutes 20 seconds defeated the duo of GMO Kaminari and Cosmo Orion. In a trios match, 6-man tag match, Los Facción Ingobernables of Beast Muertos, Dralistico, and Roosh defeated AR Fox and Top Flight, the Martin brothers, Dante and Darius Martin, with Layla Gray in their corner. And in the main event, saw in the last of the qualifying matches, Mascara Dorado of CMLL defeated Hechicero and to become the fourth man. So coming up this Wednesday, on this Wednesday's Dynamite, Kenny Omega will be defending the international title in a 4-way match against Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, and Mascara Dorado. All right, so with that being said, so we're done with the wrestling wrap-up here. So now, with today being Monday, June the 2nd, 2025, let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in Neach history. So, first off, we're going to head back 75 years ago. As on this date, 75 years ago, the 60th and final issue of Blue Beetle, of Fox's Blue Beetle anyways, the 60th and final issue of Volume 1 of Blue Beetle, went on sale on its date back in 1950. It sold for 10 cents or 32 pages. Of course, you had Crime Circus, Blue Beetle Stories, Crime Circus, and Bloody Artist, and then On Stage Murder. This particular title initially started out with Fox for the first 11 issues. Then from issues 12 to 30 went to Holyoke, and then went back to Fox for 31 through 60. So on this day in 1950, 75 years ago today, the 60th and final issue of Volume 1 of Blue Beetle from Fox Feature Syndicate went on sale on this date back in 1950. And finally, moving ahead to the year 2005, on this date in the year 2005, the DVD release of Digital Dream Studios' Arc, the DVD release of the film Arc from Digital Dream Studios. What is it? Digital Dream Studios. DVD release of Digital Dream Studios Arc happened on this date back in 2005, 20 years ago today. All right. So, anyways, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We did find it informative. Of course, we'll be back here with more Neach News tomorrow night. Also, this Sunday, I'll be joined by Metal from Vomitorium to take another trip down comics history lane, going back to May 1940. We'll be looking at quality comics. We'll be, of course, looking at National Comics, Feature Comics, Smash Comics, a couple of issues of, we'll be looking at stuff from a couple of issues of Crack Comics. The features we'll be looking at this Sunday will include, of course, Doll Man, Uncle Sam, The Clock, Black Condor, let's see, Red Bee, Neon the Unknown, and and Invisible Hood. Now, granted, that's 7 features right there. Now, whether or not we get through all 7 features, I don't know. We're gonna try, obviously, but I guess we'll just wait and see when we get there. Of course, tomorrow night we'll look back to tonight's Monday Night Raw as well, and look ahead to tomorrow night's and look ahead to tomorrow night's NXT. We'll give any updates on anything coming up for, of course, Money in the Bank and when Worlds Collide pay-per-views. So, anyways, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.